11 on Thursday, design. Today we're talking about design circadian lighting for luxury home, office, and hospitality. Like I said, those are three subjects and three space that I really like. And also, there are places where circadian lighting has time to, you can have an impact on people. Um, that you do it in a restaurant is very nice, but it's very rare that people are going to spend a long time in a restaurant. So, yes, it is an advantage, but not as uh, official or used as in the other three. So, of course, when we talk about circadian design, lighting and design, it has to come at the very, very first stage. The earlier, the better, because this is where we follow. The light begins to follow life, right? Because circadian lighting works with the natural rhythm of the planet and the sun. Uh, when we build a house, we are effect of that. So that means that as an owner, it's we have to adapt to because the sun and the rest of the universe and whatever the earth is not going to adapt to our needs. Wouldn't that be nice? Um, Also, when we do where we do place where we stay or we work or we relax, we enjoy life. Um, it's very rare that um, we want a static life, not life but lighting, because our life, uh, above all, is very dynamic. Many things happen. We work at the office, we get in and out, we sit down for a long period, we are in a resort, we can sit down for a while, then we can just start a conversation with our loved one or friends or new people we just met, and time move very, very, very slowly, and the mood change accordingly, and our body goes with it. So as time evolved during the day, that we are at home, at work, or on vacation, the idea is that the lighting is following us. The circadian lighting, it's following the time that we're there. It also follow the different activity we're doing. Of course, if we're outside, we have the normal sun, but having the interior following the exterior, your body still get some signal, and the circadian lighting is working, keep on working as with no stop. So the time, the activity, and the last thing I would say that is very important is our human rhythm, because humans are have different rhythm. Some are good at night, some are good during the day, some are very efficient during the morning. And having this in, contributing to you is a very, very um, it's an add-on to to make your life easier, and also to help your body to be more productive, because the goal is very simple. We want the space to feel natural without efforts. If our space, if we have to go and we have to start lights, and we got to do turn on some switch, and we got to go and turn down some shades, yes, we can do that. But, it breaks our rhythm. Now we're not in the mood that we were doing. Let's say you're working, and as you're working, the shades come down, the lights start to adjust, slowly and some lights turns on, your body will keep on the same rhythm. But if you have to stop everything and then you start turning switch and moving stuff and putting shades up and down, it asks your body a little effort. And it's not that your body cannot do any effort, it's just that it breaks your rhythm. And that's all I want to say, that there's nothing wrong with doing it yourself, or having the second thing is, do you have the discipline? Personally, I'm a very disciplined person, but that kind of thing I might forget once in a while. So every space that we build has three layers, as well, minimum three, right? We talk about ambient lighting, we talk about task lighting, and we talk about accent on the wall. And of course, there is two types of light we're using. We're using either directional lighting, or we're using general diffuse, right? So when we design the circadian lighting, we have to connect, we have to think and connect with these layers and these source, and think about what is that it's gonna happen. Let's say in the morning, like in the morning, what's a little scene? Well, we want to have a little brighter and clearer area, because we're waking up. We need all the energy and the signals we can to tell our body, let's go. It's time to go to work. And then we'll also want some task lighting if we're preparing our breakfast or breakfast for our kid, and we'll have the minimal accent, on our artwork or so forth, because at this point, this is not what it's all about. So during the day, we have a more balanced, we would say we would have a more balanced ambient lighting. We'll have some very concentrated task lighting and functional and very consistent. And again, the accent is very subtle, because we don't need that contribution for now. We also have our windows, we have the doors, we have patio door, we have, you know, so balcony maybe we're working on once in a while. So we have a lot of contribution from the daylight. Now the evening is where it gets different, because now we want all the ambient lighting to be reduced, right? And now we want to have our accent become more dominant, so that now our anchor point are moving from the work to the space, and our sensors are capturing that, okay, now it's time to slow down, right? Same with the task lighting. Our task lighting, we start to dim it a little bit, make it a little warmer, so that they contribute, but they contribute more for feeding our data, our cells, than the work that we're doing. And then the space is like a natural transition naturally. And again, we don't want to break our rhythm, so we're not switching fixtures, we're not, but we're just adjusting layers. All our layers are going into a different mode. They're going into the night mode. So this is the ideal scene. Now you're going to tell me, well, Bob, I don't have this setup. Okay, well, there is different way we can do that. But let's talk about a bit about the scene, and then we can talk a bit about how we're going to do it. So the scene, like the morning scene, what we will want to have and enhance is that when we program a morning scene, we want higher intensity. We want very cool. And remember, I told you cool and warm. Cool is bluish, warm is orangish. So we want the cool tone, which is the same thing as the sun when it's at noon. So we want to tell our body, wake up and get into the program. And then also, what's going to happen is this is going to start to support our alertness. We'll feel more alert, we'll feel more awake. And as the day go on, we have a stable output, everything is neutral, balanced, support our productivity, and we're just going and going and going. And then evenings start to hit, right? Intensity lower. The tone of the fixtures, right? The very cool bluish tone start to shift to warmer. What does that do? Well, that tells your body that you're going to start relaxing. It's time to relax. And all this setup of getting the light dim, putting in a warmer tone, put you in that mode of relaxation. And these scenes also, what they do is that they remove the decision making. You don't have to worry about, oh my God, do I did push the right button? Is this the right thing? Is this? No. All the environment adjusts automatically. And all you have to do is enjoy yourself. And just imagine this day after day after day after day, how your body and yourself, feel the light and feel that, it's time to relax. And you really start to relax because your body also sends signal to your millions of sensors and say, hey guys, come on, let's go. It's relax time. Cut it out. Put the tool away. This reminds me when I work in very high-end neighborhood. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Beverly Hills, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I was just delivering some product, and I told my clients, well, we can meet Saturday morning. He said, Bob, are you kidding? We're going to get killed. If we show up Saturday morning on the job site, we're going to get shot. First, security is going to kick us out, and people are going to make complaint, and the owner is going to have to pay some fine. So I was like, whoa, okay, I totally forgot. So our body, that's what's going to happen in our body, because we know that a certain time is time to relax. So it's going to take the pressure off, start to put things away, and your body is going to go into that mode. Same thing in the morning. When it's time to get up, it's going to be like, okay, wake up call, everybody, get to work, let's go. We're going to do something today. So when we do residential, it supports our daily living, right? So we're on top of that, we are walking, we're relaxing, and we're living the transition, because we may spend anywhere from 6 to 12 hours at home, depending if we have an office there or not. So the transition is very, very efficient. We live the transition. When we are at the office and we spend our 8 hours at the office, what's happening is that our productivity is aligned. So we have the full amount of energy. It reduced the fatigue. We are support by and focused on our task. And let's say we work after hours and the lighting start to get mellow and this and that. What do you think is going to happen? You're going to start yawning and say, what the hell am I doing here? Right? And you may think, well, Bob, it's very nice, but the kind of work I do, I'm overwhelmed and I always work more and I always need more time. And well, trust me, you'll become more efficient and you'll become way more productive under circadian lighting. And when it's time to relax, you're gonna be way more relaxed, because you're gonna, first of all, forget about the office, get your body into that mode, of relaxing and evening, and your sleep will be better. So now when we are in the hospitality, hospitality is a tricky one because you have to uh, kind of impinge on your guests to give them an experience. So, what hospitality does is that circadian lighting in hospitality does is that what's happening is that you're helping your guests to have a more agreeable experience. You encourage them to have more comfort. You encourage them to have more engagement. You encourage them to relax more because that's what they wanted to do, and that's what you do. It also helped to define different atmosphere because some place you're gonna be, you're gonna be using not only circadian lighting, you're gonna use color. Some place you're gonna use probably more white because it's let's say you have an area where you have lots of senior people and they need to see more, so the little light level may be a little higher. Well, guess what? This area. So you'll create these different atmosphere in different area. Some will be general diffuse, some will be directional, and again, could be directional up, could be directional down, could be directional on the ceiling, and same thing with general diffuse. It could be a 4-inch ball, could be a 36-inch ball. So the atmosphere will be guided through the time, and you will have the same expression, the same characteristic at your home. Is that you're gonna follow a cycle, and you'll be very happy for it. Um, God knows, when I was young and going to into resort or going in vacation, sleeping was not part of my vocabulary. But as I get older, I really appreciate the when I have a deep sleep, and I would 100% way more appreciate if the whole area would help and trigger me to go to sleep and have a nice deep sleep. So we have different expression because we have different area of control. And I could go on and on and on in different space, but for me, this is the area of work that I excel, and high-end residential, office, and also into hospitality. So now let's talk about the entry. Okay, where you come in. So normally you have a soft transition between in and out. So what you don't want is that you don't want to have abrupt contrast. You want to have a nice transition, so that means that you're going to have probably a little bit more light, so that your transition from day during the day to outside is not too abrupt. And at night, since you're dimming them and you can control them individually, you don't need all of them. So the contrast is also followed. Now, living area, and I would say living and entertainment area, you want to have flexible scene because you always have different thing happening during the day, right? We have balance, ambient, and control accent, meaning that we don't have a ceiling full of accent, but the one that we have, we can control them. If the sun is very bright, we might need a lot of support from them. If it's cloudy, then we may not need all of them. Dining area, kitchen area. We want to have some mood lighting. We want to have something that is a little warmer that we can reduce in the evening, and have a strong focus on task, meaning on the table, if possible. Sometimes, because of the different configuration that we do in hospitality, it's very hard to have fixed lighting. Well, we can work it out. I mean, there's something you can work out. Bedroom, we want to have a gentle morning activation and a very soft evening down. And imagine if you turn the light in your room, and let's say you come after dinner and they already are at the right level. You push the button, boom, they're at 60% instead of blasting you at 100. So again, all of this, it's all automated, it's all record and pre-controlled from the controller, and it goes. Now, circulation area shouldn't have any visual interruption because there's liability and there's problem. So, but it doesn't mean that we cannot follow the circadian rhythm. And having this will help you to connect the light with all your different space in the house, which is amazing, right? To give you a little note on PoE lighting, it doesn't need, the whole house doesn't need to be done with PoE, not PEO. We can start with the bedroom, we can start with the living room and the workspace. That will give us a good array of control to create your mood. The garage, we can have, normal lighting because you're going to go there, you're going to do a certain task, and you're going to get out. And even if you get blast for 5 minutes because you're looking for garbage bag or you want to, an extra soda in the garage fridge, well, there's nothing wrong with, or if you know your way around, you can have a couple little night light and just walk in the dark. That's fine. We also, what the PoE does is that it gives us access immediately to a tunable system and programmable, and it's ready for integration, meaning that if you have a control system in your house, you can have a segue, very easy segue with a Cat5 to your system and have your system override it and take control, because you like that type of switch, or you have this particular program and you don't want to have a second program. It's very easy to interconnect them. So what we're doing with PoE, we're combining the power and control. It's also very simplified for future upgrade. What you can do eventually is that you can have your perimeter lighting on your PoE system, and let's say there's a break-in in your house. Well, your light goes from, let's say at night they're warm, and they start flashing red and blue all around the house. So anybody that tried to intrude your house, those lights are emitting from the street, and even your neighbor can take the phone and said, listen, something's going wrong, can you come in? So, or just call you and see if everything's okay. And also you have an easy way to start putting scene, and it's very easy to expand over time. So that's the basic of PoE lighting, and that's what I like about it, is that we can do an intervention into one part of the house and not worry about the rest of it, and because we can integrate it and we can have it work with whatever system you have in place. Crestron, Lutron, Control 4, etc., etc. So, and this brings me to when I design a system. If you have quality component, it is very easy for coordination, right? Because everybody knows everybody. All those systems know each other. They know they already had to deal with some of them at some point. So they have a workout, they have a patch, they have a program that you can put into your system. and it works. So either the architect, the lighting designer, the control, the engineers, they all gonna, understand what you're doing, and also make it work because they're known product and company. And as we were talking yesterday about manufacturing, like for them, it is a symbol of not eternity, but of longevity, because they have to think in the future. They have to think the new thing. They have to think who's going to work with them, they're going to have to integrate it with, etc., etc. So the experience should feel very unified. Nothing scattered, nothing special, no breaking. Now, as an executive, uh, there's a time where we got to put our hand, like we got to put our hand into the dough, and we got to start looking at the material. What are we using? What product do we want? We got what? Why are we using this? How did this will enhance our design? How how these products will make our project look better? And this is where it's very important that you know we understand that lighting influence our perception, lighting influence our comfort, lighting influence our behavior. So circadian lighting, when we start to think about how we use this in our design, it's another layer, which is a time-based experience. So now, not only we're adding, perception, comfort, and behavior, but we're also adding time. Because if we want to take advantage of the whole program, we got to follow that curve. That's it. There's no special curve for different people. And on that, I'm going to say a little parenthesis, okay? Because if you work on a night shift, maybe um, maybe you don't have access to that curve, okay, that natural curve of the sun, and maybe what you need is have a reverse curve, because your lunchtime is at 4 in the morning, and your bedtime is at 8 in the morning. So of course, uh, you should have, especially if you work on night shift, you should having a circadian system will help your body to trick your biology, but also feed the sensor. Again, this is the most important thing. Our little sensor in our eyes. This is what, this is the beast. This is what we got to feed, and at the right time. So if you work on night shift, you can use the reverse technology to help you to feed your system so that you don't feel too out of it. Of course, when you go to work and this and that, you're going to have to adjust too. But by that time, normally you'll be, once you have your morning light and you start in the blue zone, you working in an interior space that is very well lit, um, will help you. And then later, what's going to happen is that when you go to bed, you go home, your lighting is going to adapt to that, and then you'll have your go to bed cycle while everybody else wake up. If you have a family that works day shift and you work night shift, that could be quite interesting. But again, depending on time, because that's what we're working with, you can organize it and program it. So as lighting is being considered as beyond function, uh, circadian lighting design becomes a natural design extension. Why? Because the we for years we've been manufacturing and we've been designing from the best that we thought. At some point we were over illuminating, some point we were under illuminating, so, and now we're in the middle and we're working with it. And what we're seeing with the circadian is that now the two sides are getting together, right? And we are. Hold on a second. I'm just gonna give you a little advertising. We are getting closer and closer to helping our body to live better and longer. So this is another step, and it's not hard to understand when you see that those med bed, you see all those red light therapy. What are they made with? They're made with lighting that are programmed at, or that are emitting light at different frequency, that heals your body, that helps your that helps your cell, that your little captor in your eyes, and all of that makes it work better. So now we're closing that gap. Good design and circadian lighting brings you way more. And when we don't know where and how to start a conversation, it is always a good uh, it is always a good point to start, because they may don't think that they need a lighting designer, because they may don't think that, fixture, they need to spend money on fixture because they're cheap, and they think fixtures are useless. But if you start educating your client on circadian lighting and the value that it brings to them, like finally something that in the construction material, well, yes, you have all kind of ventilation and filtering and paint, and I call it tofu paint, but you have all kinds of painting that is good for the body, but it doesn't re-energize the body. It stops the chemical from entering in your body. But lighting is the only thing that contribute to your cell, and for the first time we have a way to measure it. Because before we knew something was happening when we did a good design, but we didn't have the tool, we didn't have the proper vocabulary, we didn't have the language to explain exactly what was happening. And this is also something we're going to see in the few next episode, in the coming weeks, is we'll go deeper. Right now we're just surfing on the top, right? I remember creating a scene for my client morning, day, and evening. And after that they become lazy, so we just had uh, evening and all on. Why? Because we never had the value of programming the proper scene with the proper color to have the proper effect on the body. Everything was guessing. I mean, I designed lighting uh, sometimes to create different area in the room. I would have like bar lighting, I would have like painting lighting, I would have like directional lighting, up directional up to highlight the architectures and the ceiling. I would have a nice cove, but I never designed in circadian lighting philosophy because I didn't know. And I went to school and I watched a lot of seminars and I went to a lot of conference, but circadian lighting seemed something so esoteric, that I never paid attention to it. And I guess I wasn't there yet. But I was a really good lighting designer, and people love my scene, and people love my lighting, and I still have referral from my clients because they love the my lighting style. But I never knew that, you know, lighting had to respond to time. I never knew that. I knew that if I had a night scene, if you're watching TV or if you're having a romantic dinner, yes. But why? Like, why when the sun starts to go down, you put some general diffuse, you put some linear on the bottom because your eyes need to get away from the ceiling and the up and start to look down. And these colors need also to be warm. I never understood that. Never. I did some of those naturally, but I didn't know. It was just a gut feeling. It was just my style of design. But now I know exactly why. And I know exactly how to program it because that was the other thing. Maybe you were pushing night scene one, night scene two, and night scene one was different from night scene two because it was a party. And then I had a, you know, different party scene. Well, guess what? Party scene have their room, but they don't. If you don't party every day, so what was happening is that people would leave it full on all the time, night and day. So we had a very, very efficient lighting control system, but using it maybe 5% because I didn't know that space respond to time, right? I was just designing with all the feature. I got a funny story. I was building this multi-million-dollar mansion in California, and we had a big Lutron system. I think we had 10 or 15 panels, uh, about 3,000 lights in the house, and of course the control system's about $500,000. So the client calls me on a weekend. Bob, what's up? Uh, we got to cancel that control system. Why? He said, well, this weekend we rented a house in Aspen, and my son found the all off button. And when he goes, and that's the right height for him to push the button and turn off all the lights. Wow. Uh, I said, okay, don't worry. Okay. First of all, we're year 2 in your construction project. We still have a couple years to go, so your son will grow. Secondly, I can program this button that you have to hold it for 3-4 seconds or 5 seconds, which your son at this age don't have the patience, but later when he grows up, that won't be a problem if you're worried that kids will press all off. He said, oh, okay. And that was it, right? So, and that was quite a funny story because, having this, a client call you and tell you about this means that he's really thinking about what's going on. So, uh, beyond our normal scope, of revealing the space, um, enhancing the life quality of our clients, uh, you know, showing their beautiful arts, displaying their memorabilia and whatever. Time uh, is our most precious asset. And knowing circadian level and integrating this to our service offer is a very, very amazing tool that differentiate us from anybody. Because when you think about it, you're not going to spend more money or more time in install or more time in programming. It's the same thing, for that kind of project. but the result will be absolutely different. So, enhancing the experience of our clients will become effortless. And on that, yeah, I wish you a beautiful day. Thank you for being there, and I'll see you next week. No, not true. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're talking about the design industry. And it's very, very interesting because these days I talk to a lot of uh, different people in the surrounding, and I got some very, very interesting insight to share with you. So see you tomorrow, and